Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music, and today we're going to take a look at how to spell notes, the notes in scales, the notes in chords. It seems like it should be simple. There's only 7 letters in the musical alphabet, but scales and chords are tricky. Everything is relative. Let's dig in. So I always say, hi, it's Chris from Implied Music. And the reason I've been using this name, Implied Music, for really many years now, it's the name of my band, it's my producing name, is I want to remind myself that what we say is what music is. We have to be able to name things. And that's a complicated idea, and I don't want to get into the philosophy of it. All I really want to do is empower myself to work with what I imagine. And the same thing's true for you. So if we want to talk about individual notes, and I mean the individual musical notes of the sort of 12-tone conventional scale that Western music has sort of dropped in our laps, we need to label them. Labels are unfortunate in a way, but they are incredibly useful. Now, why do we name things the way we name them? To some degree, it's arbitrary. Let's look at the screen. So I've got a keyboard hiding out below my edit window here. And I want to point out that both the keyboard down here, which I'm using the Chord app, by the way, and the edit window rely on the conventional Western keyboard for demonstrating things. When I play a note, it places it on a graph, which is essentially, the keyboard. Look, we're looking at 3 black keys and then 2 black keys. And we actually probably should know the names of all of those locations, right? We really should. In fact, not only we should know it, but the program should know it as well. Now, it's pretty easy to name the notes that are living on the white keys. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then the whole thing starts again at C. It's a conventional C major scale. And scales are always organized in whole and half steps, generally. At least they're spelled that way for us, the 7-tone scales. But the only major scale that has only white keys is the C major scale. And this is where it starts to get a little bit weird, because that means that we've got to start creating other names for other scales. I'm going to begin on F. F, G, A. That was whole step, whole step. Now it's time for a half step. And that means it's time for a black key. And I need to name that note something. C, D, E, F. And the real question that music theorists struggle with is, what do we name that black key? Now, if you know a little bit about music, which can be a dangerous thing, you know that the black key that lives here, is either a raised version of the A or a lowered version of the B. But there's a simple rule, and this is the first rule, along with a second one, which will come later, that we need to have in order to name our scales accurately. And the first rule is this: you can only have one version of any given letter. So I have an F, G, A. Can this be A sharp? No, and yet logic thinks it's A sharp, right? It has to be B flat. Now, this is why there's such enormous confusion in the sort of spelling world, because the computer is stupid. Even if I am thinking in the key of F and I know that that has to be a B flat, the computer doesn't know what I'm thinking. And when I hover over this note, it showed me an A sharp. It's not A sharp, it's B flat. However, A sharp and B flat are on the same key on my keyboard and in the same location in my edit window. We can get around that by telling Logic what key signature we're in. But let's be honest, most of the time we don't do that. Most of the time we're just kind of like playing through things, right? We're just having a kind of a good time. In fact, when we're using modal modulation to create sort of epic sounds, we frequently get into hot water with our sequencer thinking something is something that it's not. And it can be really confusing because you have to talk to your guitar player, you have to talk to your bass player, you have to talk to yourself about what you're doing. Let's turn the metronome on and play a chord progression. There's something really beautiful, excuse me, about the F minor chord and the E chord, because they share a note. Well, if I am thinking about E major, I'm thinking about E, G sharp, right? Yep, and B. That's a simple E major chord. Guitarists love it, sounds awesome everywhere. It's awesome on the piano. If I'm playing an F minor chord, I'm thinking F, what's the third of F minor? G, A flat, right? This tone here, which was a moment ago, G sharp, really now in my mind should be A flat because it's the third of F minor. Spelling is crucial to really understanding what's going on with that chord. Spelling is important for naming the notes in the chord as well as the notes in the scale. Well, I just progressed from there to an A flat major chord. A flat major chord. Do I really want to think about that chord, A flat major, as G sharp? I do not. You know why? Because the third of A flat major is this note right here. C. It's easy. I'm in the key of C. I want to think about C. But the third of G sharp major is G sharp, A sharp, B sharp. This note here, which looks like a C on the keyboard and would look like a C on your editor, would have to be spelled as B sharp. Every scale has only one of every letter. I should have put that at the top. I buried the lead. I said it a little bit earlier. But remember this, every scale has only one of every letter. There's a second rule that we can apply. The way you spell chords is related to the note's job in the chord. Just in the same way that the way you spell scales is related to the note's job in the scale, the way you spell chords is related to the note's job in the chord. The third of F minor is only A flat. It is not G sharp. I apologize for this arbitrary thing about music theory, but if you want to talk to other musicians, you want to talk to your bass player, you want to talk to your keyboard player, you want to write something out maybe, you want to understand what the screen is doing, it's really important to understand spelling. Spelling is boring. It's like being in school, right? Two simple rules. Two simple rules. There's only one of every letter in a 7-tone scale. And in general, tones are spelled according to their place in the scale and in the chord. Well, like and subscribe. Click that bell. You'll be notified when I post a new video. I hope this has been useful. I'll see you next time.